There we are. So welcome everyone to our Sunday night sessions. I'm Tracy Jameson along with Val Smith. And it's really great being back and doing these hangouts again. Val, you are out today enjoying your summer in Edmonton. And, I was out hanging around the public markets today in White Rock. Beautiful day here, our summer. And so you and I had a conversation this morning, as we do almost every morning. I wish we could record those because they really are, some of them very deep in thought, and we travel a long way through our conversations, but we talked a lot about sort of the evolution, as we were just saying a few minutes ago, the evolution of where everything has gone. Now, you were talking about cars, and we're talking about the internet, we're talking about a great lot of things. And, I think that people kind of get lost, I think, in that evolution, especially in the network marketing industry. And it's funny because today, this Google Hangouts, I love the Google Hangouts. We get in here, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants most days, but they have a lot more tools that you can use in it. So today I was sort of scouring the internet and looking for some tutorials and everything, and just learning a little bit more about its capabilities. And, watching some people doing some presentations and stuff. So, it's part of that learning process. But, I think people can get lost a little bit in that learning process because there's so much of that stuff out there. But, anyways, Val, share a little bit of what we were talking about earlier from your perspective.
Well, just going back to what you're talking about now. People can go into overkill in learning. But you know what? With what you do, it's important and paramount to the structure of the business. That's the type of learning you do. So a lot of people can indulge in learning that has very little value in some cases, to their long-term dreams, wants, and desires. But what we were just talking about was like 1967 Camaros. That's the way my brain goes off, right? We were talking about, what were we going to talk about on tonight's call? And we don't have anything choreographed, we don't rehearse anything. And I was just saying to you, I wanted to talk about the genesis of it all and how it's kind of progressed, from my experience. I got started in 1978 to where we are today in 2016. You can go all the way back to biblical times and before, how the master teachers went out there and created discipleship, and it was word of mouth, and everyone was talking, and there were rumors and stories and all kinds of testimonials of what people saw and evidence. Those are the things that sold culture and community. And whatever the other word was you used to use before in the back, you remember in the good old days, what used to be colonies, yeah.
Colonies,
so that colony structure, right? And when you take a look at the great business opportunities that are out there today, people that are making phenomenal amounts of money, they're part of a colony, they're part of a tribe, they're part of a community, they're part of a culture that was set, and it's driven by a product. Obviously, because if you don't have a product, it's going to be tough to drive it long term. But going back to what we were talking about tonight, because I've got too much information in my head as usual, I was just talking about, the Camaro. We talked about the Camaro. There's new Camaros that are out today, and I'm not a big fan of the new Camaro. I like the old stuff. The car that I have is a '94 Testarossa. It's a one-of-a-kind Testarossa. There's very few in the world like it. I like the old nostalgic type vehicles, and it's something that kind of brings you back to your youth, or something that brings you back to the posters on the wall and stuff like that. When you take a look at the newer cars today, you've got the Dodge Charger, and you've got the Challenger, and you got the new Camaros, the new Trans Ams. They kind of look gimmicky, they're very gimmicky. They're not authentic, and not like the '67 Camaros and the '68s. And Tracy, you grew up with that stuff in White Rock growing up as a young kid. You're around that.
They still cruise the beat.
You've got all these beautiful cars cruising the beat in your neighborhood. And I remember my brother had a '68 Mustang with a 390 4-barrel carb in it, and that thing was just like, that was authentic. That's the real stuff. And I find myself, as you get a little bit older in life, you start looking back and reflecting on that. And so maybe marketing will take that course. Maybe we can be instrumental in kind of bringing it back to the good old days, and where people want to learn a skill set, because now it's kind of getting really gimmicky. It went from all the great stuff, the stuff that scared the daylights out of you, like go to people's houses, you have 25 people in a house, and you feel a little anxious because you're not a public speaker, and you're just going there to listen and evaluate, and maybe you're an introvert, and maybe you're scared, or you suffer anxiety being in social environments. Anybody can go through all kinds of different symptoms of being in these type of environments. Sometimes it's difficult when you have a high-powered, energized ever-ready bunny standing at the front of the room in a $2,000 power suit, or, you know, nice polo shirt and shorts, and, you know, you're at their house and they're in a $1.5 million house or $2 million house, and you're there and you're looking around, you've never been exposed to that stuff before. You're in a meeting, but those are the good old days. You know, they would talk about Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. They would give you some motivational, inspirational stuff, which was kind of cool. You know, it gives you a little buzz. You know, it's better than narcotics, I guess. It's safer, and it gives you a little buzz while you're sitting there in the room with 25 other people, right? You get a little, you know, you get a little sense of what's going on. And then they talk about the business opportunity and life changing and selling hope and, you know, products and switching brands and all kinds of things. I mean, there was a form of interaction, there was a form of engagement, and everybody was there in some way, shape, or form. And then it kind of changed a little bit, and, you know, all of a sudden we got into some technology as we started coming out of the 80s. We started moving into some technology. People were fax blasting. You know, we had these things called fax machines back in the day, kind of like, you know, CD players.
I don't see one anymore. That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah, just like the old record players, you know, the 45s and 78s and stuff. So anyhow, we used to have fax blasting, and I remember, you know, all the networkers would get so excited. We'd get somebody that was really cool, like yourself, that could create great graphics and just, you know, create this really cool graphic of a lion. You know, we're going to captivate the next, you know, the next wave or something like that, and be on this conference call. So everyone would pile in on these conference calls because we'd all be sitting there on our telephones, and we'd all go 1, 2, 3, go, and then bam, all together, everyone would just start faxing. You know, faxing from their houses all throughout the United States, and just bam, we slide the paper in, bam, slide the paper in, bam, slide the paper in, bam. And it was fun and it was exciting because you had copious amounts of people on conference calls.
It was
really cool because
it was a physical action, though, Val. Sorry to interrupt. And you see, like, all of those things were physical actions. It's like going to someone's house. It's like it's literally doing something physical, right?
It was work. You actually had to have Gatorade, even though they didn't have it back then, because it has electrolytes and sugar in it just to keep you going. So you didn't get to sit on your tushy and just get lazy and, you know, a little bit, you know, chunky along the way. But so you were burning calories back in today. Today's marketing, you don't have to, or back in the day, today's marketing, you don't burn calories. You just kind of like, you know, unless you're going through stressful situations. But that's not what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is just the fun, the excitement of the origin of marketing. The challenge, the personal growth, the development. You know, it was about you, and it was a scary process. It was a very nervous process, but it's that process. You have to walk through that fire to get to the other side, and that's the fire everybody's avoiding today. And we talked about that last week, so we're not going to talk about, you know, people avoiding. So you take a look at where marketing was going through the 70s and 80s, because that's the genre I remember very clearly as Thursday, and then the 90s. We had conference call lines. We had telephone cards at 9.9 cents a minute in the United States. You used to have to pay a conference call company like $1,000 a day to use their conference call bridge. Now it's all free, right? So nobody, and free has no value, right? So now what you're seeing is, you know, when there's value there, people are putting the time, effort, and energy into it because the reward was so phenomenal. But now with everything being kind of like semi-free, you know, free conference call line providers all over the place, nobody uses conference call lines anymore. And what I'm finding, is people are even avoiding webinars now. Yeah. They'll go to 1 or 2 webinars, and then after they see it, then they're done. So we look at that and we say, okay, so we went from you know, social environments, and I'm not talking about the internet. I'm talking about touch, feel, smell, come to my house, you know, have some cheese and wine, shake hands, experience the product, you know, like coming over for a barbecue. And then we went into like fax blasting, like everybody standing around just faxing and piling people on the conference calls. And conference calls were like, you know, they were like a major hit for 10 years. They were maybe it's more than 10 years actually, 80s, 90s, 2000s, yeah, maybe 17 years. And then all of a sudden, you know, we got social networks, and everyone pulled back from all the you know, the get-together things, and not in all cases. Some companies still preach it and are able to create a movement in that direction. But a lot of people just want to sit back on the internet. So on the internet, they sit here and they say, okay, well, I've got a computer in front of me, and now we have something called laptops, and now we have something called tablets, and now we have something called iPhones. All those things weren't around in the 90s the way we know them today. And people are looking for gimmicks. So when I referred to the authentic Camaro, the Firebirds, the Trans Ams of years gone by, you know, the Plymouth Superbird, the Chargers, the real ones from the good old days, you know, the Mopar power cars and stuff like that, to like the crap that we have today. Like look at the Camaros today. I mean, they're Mickey Mouse, you know what I mean? It's just they try to make them look the same. They're nice. Don't get me wrong. Anyone that has a new Camaro, I mean, you know, good for you and stuff, but it's not the same. You know what I mean? It'll never be the Mona Lisa. That's what I'm saying. You know, it'll never be the original diamond ring. It's going to be a fabricated cubic zirconia, you know, that they use in TV.
Good one.
You know, yeah, really. Well, that's, you know, that's what it feels like to me. So we got to take a look, Trey. So here we are. We're providing a service through Mentoring Millionaires. Okay, Mentoring Millionaires. We got a concept here. We want to bring back some old school and implement the the new school stuff and some of the great tools, lead capture pages, and getting out there and doing video branding and letting people see who you are and all about. So what we're doing is we're kind of like saying, okay, well, you all don't want to do the great things. You all just kind of want to do the half-assed mediocre things and make money to do it. So what we're doing is we're hoping to bring the great things in through video, video conferencing like we're doing now, or on our capture pages, video. I think if you're going to present your case to somebody about, hey, I'm going to be your sponsor. This is who I am. We got to take a look at all those things. So we got to find a happy medium. We got to come halfway. And sometimes my philosophy, your philosophy is extremely strong because we've outgrown all the baby stuff. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to become better. We believe that, we deserve better. And most people on the internet don't believe they deserve much of anything. So what we have to do is we have to take a look at the progression of how things in the past and history kind of move forward and move forward and move forward, kind of like a neighborhood changing. And kind of like the landline phone, going to the big block cell phones, and then the cell phone, and then all of these little micro cell phones, all these interesting little tools now. So what people are looking for are all the cool little buzzes. They want to get a little buzz on, this is what people want. And I had somebody today send me some information. Hey, Val, yeah, we need to talk. And we don't really need to talk about anything, but they felt that we needed to talk. So why do we need to talk? I didn't even ask, but they sent me this. Do you have $10,000? Okay, do you have $10,000? Well, yeah, that's nor here nor there. You can turn that $10,000 into $18,000 in 60 days. You can just keep turning and all these Ponzi kind of high-end yield programs, right? So, they've been around for years, and I've been first exposed to those 26 years ago, where there's all these lawyers, disbarred lawyers, sometimes lawyers, they'll fly into Turks Caicos if you got $100,000 and all that, because it's a Ponzi. They're taking your $100,000 and they're going to pay the next day. That's a real Ponzi. So people like that, naive, innocent people that don't know anything about business, they like that because there's something for nothing. They're looking at like these total outrageous interest rate returns on their money that really don't exist, other than utilizing other people's money. And then you put yourself out there, for the higher powers to be to come and knock on your door, right? Because you're part of some sort of illegal monetary system that was kind of naively brought back to the public because somebody said, hey, we got all these lawyers, the guys in Switzerland, the guys in the Bahamas, the guys in Turks and Caicos, guys in Australia, wherever it is, the Isle of Man, or, they could be anywhere. So people are looking for all that. So now in marketing today, now we talked to, I'm all over the place, I know, but we talked about how the past was really authentic.
Sugar's kicking in.
Yeah, I gotta bring it back. You always tell me I'll bring it back anyhow. So my whole point being is, so what works? If people being friends doesn't work anymore, if people socializing doesn't work anymore, if fax blasting doesn't work anymore, if conference calls don't work anymore, if webinars don't cut it anymore because people don't want to go other than to the first one or two, and then they're systematically done because they're wandering around. It's almost like there's no teacher in class to keep the focus on what they need to keep the focus on. They just kind of wander around, and we see people pitching 8 deals a day. We know some people that pitch 8 deals a day to organizations and create chaos and confusion, total disruption, and poor mentorship and poor guidance and direction. We see that all over the internet. Check this out, check this out, check this out, check this out. I mean, that's the most destructive type of marketing out there. But the interesting thing is, baboons will be attracted to that because it's like a new banana. They got an old banana, they want the new banana, right? And they love food, right? So unfortunately, it's this lottery gaming mentality on the internet. So what will actually work, Tracy? That's the big thing. I think anybody that's looking at marketing that plans to build a free enterprise-like business on the internet, you've got to somehow, you know, if you're like us and you know, you've got a system, you got a blueprint, you know, you've got a corporate background, you are intelligent to some degree, and I think we're intelligent, and I think other people have the potential to be intelligent, and I'm not saying everyone's not. There's a big crowd that is, but there's a big crowd that chooses not to be intelligent in this industry. How do you cater to that group? What do people want?
Yeah.
That's what we have to ask ourselves in everything.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, and you're right. It's like hit and go. It's like robbing a bank. It's like they just it's just like raping and pillaging. And you know, my integrity, I can't do that. That's not who I am. That's not in my DNA. So that kind of stuff just doesn't wash for me. You know, I'm loyal. I make a decision. I make an intelligent decision based on all the facts, and then I stick to it and do what I'm going to do. So that whole mentality for me, I don't get. However, you're right, Val. There's so much of that out there. It's like people are grasping at straws to do something, and it fails. It just keeps failing, and yet they don't understand why. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it. Yeah, it's a good point, but I don't know if they don't understand why. And if they're telling you they don't understand why, then they got to be stupid. You know, it's kind of like, no, honestly, I mean, I don't mind calling somebody stupid if they're stupid, because they're stupid. Because if I have a construction crew outside my house and I'm walking down the road and they dug up my road and there's a frickin' 8-foot hole in my road and I just happen to walk into the hole over and over and over again, call me stupid. You know, like just, well, yeah, walk around, go around the sidewalk, demonstrate a little bit of intelligence here, and, you know, strategically maneuver yourself around the hole instead of walking into a freaking hole that's 8 feet deep, you know, every time over and over again. It's like, are you kidding me? You know, it's kind of like seeing the animal that keeps running back into a trap over and over again. You scratch your head and you say, like, you know, what type of species is that, right? So sometimes I wonder what type of species some humans are. Really, you know, it's just really, it's really weird. And that's the sad part. So knowing that, you know, yeah. So knowing that, honestly, we got to take a look at the totality of the picture and say, okay, what do people want? Well, they want money. Money's the product in this industry, right? Number one, they want money. They want something for nothing, right? Example, all right? So here's an example. Somebody says, okay, well, I'm going into a business opportunity. It's $300, hypothetically $300. But it takes work. That person might say, well, you know what? I don't have $300. Okay? And then some other, you know, shark comes along and says, hey, I got this deal. Take $300, put it in this program, and you'll get $2,500 return in 3 months. So all of a sudden they hear something, music to their ears, that says you're going to get all this free money for being dopey. You know, and, you know, all you need is that $300 that you didn't have for the last program. How fast do they find that $300? $300 is always there. It's always there. There's no such thing as I don't have money. It's the money's always, the universe is abundant. The money is always there. It's kind of like, you know, if your son or your dog, your daughter or your dog or an animal that you love, something you care about, needs $300 to save its life, you'll find the $300. But all of a sudden, when it takes some work and it takes some intelligence and it takes some innovation and it takes community and it takes contribution to something, I don't have the $300 anymore, right? Oh, sounds great and everything. I just don't have the $300, but I'll have the $300 if you can show me how I can just basically have all this great stuff you're talking about for free. So that's what people want. So now, I guess the big thing, what works today in 2016. Now, this is not for everybody. I mean, it sounds like I might be stereotyping everybody in one category. That's not what I'm doing. The majority of the people on the internet like that stuff in the home-based business industry, not the intellects out there that are smart, intelligent, you know, read, you know, study, you know, apply information and data and all. There's a great group out there in the layman world and stuff. But, you know, the addicts, the ones that are just like throwing themselves into this arena like it's a free-for-all casino. So where am I going with all of this? So my whole point being is, what can we design around that type of mentality, and then reinforce it slowly with good quality training? What's the bridge in between? Because the bottom line is dysfunction will always be there. Dysfunction recruiting, dysfunction can only equal dysfunction.
Yeah.
But what if we take the dysfunction and kind of give them what they want on the front end, but then, you know, your whole philosophy, your power, I meant your product and your whole environment is around education and you know, teaching and training and giving them those little tools they can take baby steps at a time. So I think the direction that people want in order to make something work is, number one, you got to have maybe one time out of pocket. People love one time out of pocket. People love instantaneous positive cash flow, because the average person, I think the average person, to carry $150 or $200 a month auto ship's really tough. So what some of these other companies are doing now is they're looking for ways to manipulate that and take it down to like a $35 a month auto ship, or even the 89s and the 59s are getting difficult now, because it's still, there's no growth, there's no human growth and development. You know, there might be growth in numbers, but there's no, you know, you're dealing with, you know, nothing. You're dealing with no thought process there. You're dealing with no business acumen there. You're just dealing with, you know, people that aren't even thinking properly in the environment that they're in. So what we got to do is we got to take a look at it and say, what can we do to assist and help, instead of just kind of flushing that whole concept down the toilet? And the other thing I wanted to say is, there is a great group of people out there, like when we had that conversation with Gino. Gino has, you know, he's really tapping into the offline world. They're doing card decks, they're doing Craigslist, they're doing interviews to have people have leads calling them, almost like an inbound call center within their house. And that's the key. The call centers have always been the key, and I've always said that for years, if it's done correctly. And I think we can probably be, if not the first company, one of the first companies to do it correctly. Because when you go out there and you hire a generic call center, and I've trained call centers. I mean, I know call centers. You're hiring young kids. You know, when I say young kids, 17, 18, sometimes 15. They left home and stuff like that. You've got 27-year-old people in there. You got 42-year-old people in there. You know, that just, you know, they don't have the best life. They just need a $12 an hour job. And they're pretty good with their phone skills and stuff like that. But I still believe the best salespeople are those that created the program, or those that know the product inside out, you know? Telemarketers are good at using fancy words and stuff like that, and, but they're really not good at giving product description or having an emotional connection to a product. But they're good at
no emotion.
Yeah, they're very good at manipulating people through scripts. And I'm not really big on scripts. I never have been big on scripts. So it's really interesting to see how that world works. Sorry, somebody just came in the house here. Dog's just going bananas. So anyhow, my whole point being is, what do we do, right? I keep going back to my whole point being is, so what do we do? What we talk about, marketing is the art and science of empowering, communicating, developing a relationship with another human being based on their needs, not mine or yours. So I guess the needs of the people out there, if we're going to empower people, do you empower people through comp plans? No, I don't think that works anymore. I think those days are over. Do we empower people through products? Intelligent people, educated people, knowledgeable people, people with a higher level of IQ, people with a higher business acumen? Sure, they'll get that stuff. But the average mediocre person on the internet that doesn't have money, does not live in a monetary environment where they have access to finances, but are just scraping by all the time, they can still be intellectual and read books and stuff, but they still won't get it, right? So what we do is we look for the next thing here in order to bring those people into your business. Comp plans don't work anymore. Products don't work anymore. Backsplash doesn't work anymore. So you have to look at things like, okay, what do they want? Well, they don't want to go to family and friends don't work anymore, right? None of that works anymore. Even their friends on their Facebook don't work anymore. Even their personal connections and their friends list don't work anymore. Even their lists for a lot of these people don't work anymore, right? So we got to take a look at all of that, and we have to say, okay, so then what's the solution? The solution has to be, it's got to start from scratch. And this is where I like what we're doing, is because, number one, we're $147. We can give who can't come up with $147? And yeah, we will have the rocket scientists that can't come up with $147, right? And so what we do with them is we basically say, look, we have a financing program. You need $147. How long do you need it for? We have a financing program that they can tap into. We can offer a link. They can go work out the terms on that financial, mechanism that we put into place. So there's no excuse there. The next thing is, do they need leads? Yeah, they need leads because they don't want to go out there and stimulate conversation or ignite people. They just want the copious amounts of people to come to them. Can that be done? Absolutely, it can be done again. How do we do that? We put a system in place to do that. Like we talked about ringless leads. We talked about that, right? Ringless drops right into people's cell phones. We've got connections to people that have solo ad companies and can send as much traffic as people want. So if we implement all those tools, so what have we done there? We've got one time out of pocket. All right. We don't have $150 a month. We don't have $2 a month auto ships. We don't have any auto ships. So we got one time out of pocket, right? We eliminated that. Can someone say they don't have the money? Well, they could, I guess, but we also have the mechanisms put in play where they could potentially, if they haven't, messed up their financial history and have half decent credit, they have the potential to come up with $100 and $200 or whatever through financing to get the ball rolling. Then what's the next thing? They want leads. Bam, we can give them access to leads. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, bam, dropped into their box, right? So what they need to do is they need to get a voicemail system that we could talk about later down the road, a voicemail system that's universal to a particular company or a particular group or team within a company, and then just have people call in. You need people that have voiceover. Well, we can do the voiceover. You're very good at it, and I'm very good at doing voiceover. So we're eliminating all these things, right? Because some people don't know how to write ad copy. No. They don't know how to pick up the phone and say, "Good afternoon, welcome to blah blah blah.com." We're joking around the DJ voice here and stuff like that. But we could easily do that. Like good afternoon. If I could show you a way to take that internet connection in your house and turn that into $2,500 a month, would that be worth 22 minutes of your time? Even better yet, if we showed you a business opportunity, it was one time out of pocket, the money didn't even have to come out of your pocket. We had complete financing with the system, and better yet, instantaneous commissions. Blah, 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 all this stuff. And you know what we'll even do? We'll even close all your prospects for you. How would you like us to close your prospects for you? All you do is you bring the traffic to a particular universal voicemail, and guess what? We have professional executive VIP closers that will close your prospects for you. Do we use a call center? No, because call centers are fabulous, but you know what? We want to take it to the next level. We want to maximize it. Call centers are good. So let's say a call center takes in 100 calls today, right? They take in 100 calls today, and they only close 25. For 100 calls in an hour, they only close 25 or 35. I'd rather have people that are really killer with the product and service, understand it inside out, maybe take that number that the call center is 35, and everyone on the internet's really excited because, hey, man, we got a call center, right? And then all of a sudden, we have VIP executive closers, people that design the product, familiar with the product, live and breathe the product every single day. They're closing the deals, and you might get 80% instead of 35%. Your success rate's going up, right? So you put all these, you delegate all these mechanisms into play. What is it that people don't want? No problem, fill the void. What is it you don't want? We fill the void. You don't want to call your leads? No problem, we fill the void. Oh, you don't want to pay money out of your pocket? No problem, we fill the void. You want to just be able to get instantaneous positive cash flow? No problem. It's going to cost you a little bit of money out of your profit, though. Is that okay? Would you rather have 50% or would you rather have 100%? If you want 100%, you can close them if you want. You can use the outside sources or, give up 50, whatever. I'm just saying. So people want that whole turnkey system. But if that's going to be done, I think to maximize that, there's got to be the human element still, and the human element still needs to close the sale. Everyone's running off to these automated closing-like mechanisms, but you could have 1,000 people go through that funnel, and you might only get 8 people sign up. But imagine having 1,000 people go through, the human resource center, and you had 742 people sign up because, oh yeah, I know who I'm sending the money to. Oh yeah, I have a relationship. Oh yeah, I saw the person. Oh yeah, I had a conversation with so and so. All the mystery is taken away. It's 782 relationships were developed today. 782 people out there are feeling good about sending money. And now when you take a look, now let me back up why that's even better. than all the stupid, silly stuff on the internet. Not all, some of it's okay, but there's a lot of stupid, silly stuff out there on the internet. If you watch a TV infomercial, oops, something was gonna fall. If you watch a TV infomercial, what do you see in a TV infomercial? Is the TV blank? Is it all black and gray and you just hear a voice? Or do you see a PowerPoint presentation with slides going by? How would you like to make $200,000-$300,000 a year? So you don't see that. What you see is very flamboyant evangelical speakers, a housewife standing there using the mop and demonstrating it. But you're seeing a video, right? You're seeing a feed. You're seeing a live feed, or you're seeing a pre-recorded show that was done 24 hours. You're seeing people. You're hearing the voice. The voice resonates. Like the Home Shopping Network. There's Tracy on the Home Shopping Network. I've been watching her for 4 weeks. Or I've been watching her for 4 months. Or there's Val on the Home Shopping Network. I'm just kind of throwing that. But people build a relationship with characters. And that's why we watch The Voice. Oh, Adam Levine, right? My daughter loves Adam Levine, so we watch The Voice. We build a relationship. Oh, who's going to win? No, that person's not going to win. This person's going to win, because all of a sudden we chose out of all those singers who we're going to have a relationship with. And when people watch soap operas like Young and Hopeless and Crazy Hospital and all that stuff, what do? They build a relationship with Luke and Laura and the Ice
They become part of it.
Like that. Yeah. Well, it's like, oh my God, the girls like Luke and the guys like Laura. Or, we watched the Brady Bunch back in the 70s, and, I had a crush on Marsha. You identify with a particular character. But the people on the internet are afraid to do that, and the ones that run the service providers are afraid to do that. So I think we're onto something. I think we can crush it, because you and I aren't afraid to do what the rest of the environment is afraid to do. Yeah. You got 1,000 people in the room, and if 2 are ready to stand up and be shepherds and take people to the promised land, being authentic, being real, and having integrity, credibility, and being honest with the whole environment, and then saying, you've got all these wounded children like on the internet, and it's kind of like, you've got, when I went to college, Trace, I went through to be a child care worker, and I worked in group homes with, dysfunctional families. Kids had to leave there. They had to be taken away from their parents, social services and stuff. And, the interesting thing was, we would take field trips, and in those field trips, you had to be conscious of what was going on within the dynamics of the kids, because some of the kids had emotional issues. And so sometimes you just have to pull them apart, take them away and hug, give them a little hug or a little time out, or, tie their shoelace up, or, make sure their coat was on right and stuff. And it's the same thing on the internet. These people don't know how to put their coats on. They don't know how to tie their shoes. They don't know how to put their snow pants on. They don't know how to, so we need to provide those. Those are the things. I mean, we're filling in the voids. And so and I'll shut up in a sec, Tracy. I'm talking too long tonight. But if we've got all these voids there, and 100 million people going in all these business opportunities, and they're sitting there and they're stuck, and some of these people are really good people. They're computer programmers. They're accountants and stuff, but they just don't have that marketing skill set. Because they don't know what they need to do. They don't know, should I be this person? Should I be that person? I'm on the internet. Do I need to be different? Do I need to change my, personality? They don't know, and so, we can fill in every gap now that I look at it, from the one-time out of pocket to the financing to having way better than professional call centers. We can blow professional call centers out of the water, all of that stuff, because we know how to do it. I mean, that's the world that I lived in. Is my whole life has always been about blowing people out of the water in this industry, in those things, and creating copious amounts of volume. But again, you take a look at your crowd, and I like what Paul said the other day. He said, you got to find the buzzwords for people, right? And it's you got to find their key buzzwords that resonate to their ears. You can have the best product, best comp plan, best everything out there, but if it's not still being the crutch to say, oh, okay, your shoelace is untied. I'm a professional. I'm joking as I'm being silly as I say professional. I'm a professional shoe tire. I'm a professional shoe tire. I can compensate for your weakness because you don't know how to tie a shoe. So I'll compensate for your needs. Then that person's happy, right? And then, oh, by the way, you don't know how to zip up your coat? No problem. I can show you how to zip up your coat because I'm a professional coat zipper, right? You know what I mean? So everybody needs help in different areas. And when you create and design your business model, your program around almost like a group home, you've got, this great population of people that have a dream to be better someday, get out of the financial, stress of life and all these things. But sometimes you just got to be a childcare worker with these people and, fill the voids. At the same time, have a little bit of stern love too,
Well, there's a real balance, and you and I had a long conversation about that, and I think where a lot of people get stuck in this industry is they are emotionally attached, but they're emotionally attached from the wrong side. So they're looking at things they want to make the sale, but it's not. But it's all about their sale. It's not about the people, and it's not about the relationship. They're coming at the marketing from actually backwards is what they're doing, and then and they've had failure for years because they don't actually get that whole science and art of the marketing structure. And you're right. It's a baby steps process, and I think that's where a lot of the companies, they've got really great tools. But heavens, you got to go through, university on all of the tools before you get to the point of actually being able to make a sale. And that's not really what this industry is about. It's about the relationship, and it's about the science and art of the marketing part of it. So, kindergarten, like you say, babysit people kind of through those beginning steps. And I mean, I had to go through it. You went through it. So what makes people immune today of not having to go through that and then wonder why it doesn't work for them is because they've never really learned, first of all, how to tie their shoelaces, and they keep tripping over them. We got to go take it back again and start off on those little bits. And I liked what you said before about just those, those 1 or 2 minute clips of taking, you did a wonderful thing one day. You and I have great conversations. They go on for hours sometimes, but they're so interesting. In a sentence, you can take one word of a sentence and you can take an entire lesson out of one word, and it's really thought provoking, and it makes you really think about things in a different way. You have a really remarkable way of looking at things from a different angle than everyone else does. That's why you're who you are. That's why you have been so successful. So we need to be able to take that view for people and turn it a little bit so that they can actually see it from a different angle. And then I think that's where they start taking those baby steps, and we can help them through that process, right?
Yeah, when you're lined in the muck and the mire, when you're going through an emotional crisis in your life, when you feel like your world's caving in around you, and then you hear somebody like me speak and say all this stuff, that's you probably get angry because the truth hurts, right? It's the truth, and you're just so wrapped up in your emotional baggage that you don't appreciate it until you just kind of step back, like you said, and look at it from different angles. You got to look at it from different angles. Like, that's why I always tell people sometimes. Some people love what I say. Some people don't like what I say because it confronts them. It basically forces them to look in the mirror. But I tell them, I say, look, look in the other side of the mirror. If you had like a flat mirror and then two side mirrors, look into the side and look at it from a different angle, and you'll get it. Because I hated being confronted on the fact that I had incredible potential, but I was being an idiot. I was always avoiding. I would stay away from meetings. I wouldn't show up. I became a disconnected non-team player, even though in my heart and my soul inside I wanted to be there. I couldn't be there because I felt like I was going to be humiliated in some which way, shape, or form, or talked down to, because I didn't have the self-esteem to be able to face the truth. I didn't want to be exposed for the weaknesses that I had. Yeah. It's like being like you came from the corporate background, 31 years. You have to call people into the office. Guess what? Tracy's calling you in the office. It's like, I'm going to the bathroom. Maybe they want to take a detour. They don't want to go in and face the protocol. Yeah. That they did something wrong, or something, a customer was affected, or something was wrong.
Here's something that's really interesting. Here's something, and this comes from my corporate background, and it was something we called corrective action. And, you know, some of the management got it wrong, and I had to correct some of the management over the process of it. It was corrective action, because take a look at something. You've made an investment in an employee. You've taken the time to train them. You've taken the time to, you know, to make them part of the structure so that they can walk through this oiled machine so that the company can run well. Now, if somebody's done something incorrect or poor behavior, whatever the case may be, you know, you don't, the right thing to do, the correct thing to do is to correct the action. You want to help that person be a better person, be a better employee, be part of the structure, so that everybody, so that they can enjoy their job, so that they can, so the people around them can enjoy working with them. And, you know, when everybody benefits from that, the company benefits from it, the employees benefit from, and they do. So, you know, it's no different, Val. It's all part of it's part of that growth. And, you know, they don't want to hear it. Everybody wants to defend their reason for doing things incorrectly or not doing them well enough or whatever the case may be. I've been part of that structure back in the days too. But, you know, the biggest thing that I ever did, probably the biggest growth thing, was ever to say, you know, I did it, it was wrong. It was very empowering, you know. So being able to strip that layer off, I think people, they guard that because they're afraid to show, I think, a lot of that vulnerability. And I think that's the biggest thing that we can do in this industry, is to show our vulnerability, to let people know that we're human. I mean, we fly by the seat of our pants on these hangouts. You know, some of the things that, you know, we're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We make mistakes. Where, you know, we learn from each other. I mean, the conversations you and I have all the time, and the people, we have 3-way, 4-way calls all the time. Really interesting people. We learn from everybody. It's not a one-way street, it's a 2-way street. And I think that that kind of gets misconstrued a little bit in this industry too, is because people kind of maybe go up the ladder a little bit, thinking that they're the ones that's just going to keep telling people things or selling or whatever they're going to do. There's still room for the 2-way learning process, because we're human beings and everybody has certain traits. We're not the same. And so it's learning about that relationship. It's about the communication. And I think that's the biggest challenge that people have is the communication skills, is understanding exactly what it is that somebody's saying, or being able to express yourself in a way that's not combative, it's not intrusive, it's not demeaning, it's just conversation. And that art, I think, and it is an art, I think has really been has lost a little bit over the last several years, just because of the electronics, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I think that people are really missing out on an awful lot of great stuff by not getting back into the human touchy-feely thing, you know, like getting on video calls, for Pete's sakes. At least you can look people in the eye, you can understand their body language, you can, you know, that's part of the communication structure. And that's, I think, people are really missing a lot by not engaging in that. I think they find a lot more success in everything, in the relationships, in their home life, in their work life, whatever they're doing. I mean, there isn't a day go by where I'm out, you know, if I'm out walking around town here, because, you know, I can walk anywhere around town here. It's a really friendly town. I can talk to anybody, anywhere, and stop and carry on a conversation like we've known each other for years. And I know you do the same thing. So, and I know a lot of people can do that, but put them on a telephone in a sales call and slam shut, right? It becomes a whole different story.
And, you know, it's so fun when we do a 3-way call or a 4-way call or a 4-way video chat with somebody, a 3-way video chat with somebody, or if we're just on the phone jamming. I can't tell you how good it feels. And you always comment every time we get off the call. You always say, you know, wasn't that awesome? Like, you always say something like that. That was so good. You feel good because somebody's making you feel good. Our calls have so much purpose to them. They're not cheesy little Mickey Mouse calls. They're intellectual. They're stimulating. They drive you. We get off those calls. We connected with another human being, another spirit. We felt their energy. You know, there was a commonality there. There was a common ground. We felt good getting off those calls. And, you know, one of the things that really amazes me about the internet is the code of ethic on the internet. I think somebody really needs to rewrite the code of ethic, because people on the internet behave like millennials, and they're very rude. They don't you know, they'll reach out and ask you a question about something, and then, you know, you'll give them some detailed information and say, well, does that help? And you don't hear back from them. They just disregard you sometimes, right? Yeah. And the thing is, and this is why any, like, I know some guys, I know some guys that reach out to me and will ask me some questions and ask me some detailed questions. I'll give it back. And so does that help? And, you know, they come from a speaking background, or they come from a professional background. They're over 50, you know, they're not, they weren't brought up in the wrong side of the hood. So they've been around, they got some really good training, but they're unresponsive, you know, and that's like really rude. That's really unprofessional. That's grounds for firing, you know. So when you see that unprofessionalism out there on the internet, that's why, you know, most of these people, you know, would not qualify to be able to get a job or fill in an application and be hired in the, you know, the real world, so to speak. So it's like, wow, like, are you kidding me? Some of the interactions I have with people, I can't believe this person was unresponsive, or, you know, totally, you know, disregarded what I said, and then came back and asked for something totally different again a second time. Like, are we reading the same thread here? Yeah, and you know, these are people that. So I think the big thing is people that you know, came along in our genre. You know, I think people in their 30s, you have an excuse, because I don't think they had the mentorship that we had. People in their 20s, they have an excuse. People that are 18, 19, they have an excuse, I think, because they were brought up, you know, they were brought up in, I won't say what they were brought up in, but they were brought up, they didn't have the great teachers and mentors. They think they did. You know, they bought somebody's course on the internet and stuff like that, but they've never been to the workshops. They've never been to the real workshops with the real Jedi masters, you know, the Bob Proctors, or, you know, even Anthony Robbins in some cases. There's some great workshops that Anthony Robbins had. A lot of these people are just kind of following, you know, this guy's course on the internet and this guy's course on the internet, and, you know, and the guy's course that they have on the internet, the guy's still kind of a computer geek, introverted dude that doesn't even put out video, you know, or doesn't really show up to any major events or stimulate personal growth and development. So they're being trained. So anyhow, but I'm just really surprised that people that should have the leadership quality, should be the shepherds in this industry, should be role models, should be mentors, should be setting an example. Not all of them. There's great ones out there, but I'm just saying there's some, and I don't let them off the hook easy, because there's no excuse for them to be neglectful, unresponsive, and, you know, behaving like a 24-year-old or 26-year-old on the internet. There is absolutely no excuse. That mindset, that mentality, and not being responsible, getting back. So either, you know, we're professional, or, you know, we claim to be professional, but we conduct ourselves in a very immature, amateur fashion. I don't get that. You know, I don't dig that. So I think right now, with what we're doing here, as we're kind of watching the direction we want to take this, you know, with mentoring millionaires, we can add to this. We can give the people what they want, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you know what, we can create the best mousetrap out there and give the best piece of cheese out there, but understand something. You're going to be exposed to a little bit of work. You're going to be exposed to learning something. Our material will never be bastardized just for the sake of putting 10,000 people in there. We're not going to break the integrity and just, you know, throw some piece of, you know, crappy something in there as a product. I mean, the amount of time, effort, and energy, and the money invested, particularly on your behalf, you know, putting all that together to the tune, you know, go do that for a company. You'd be sending them an invoice for 150 grand, or, you know, long term, right? Months after months after months. No doubt. Oh, like all that stuff. Like it's huge, and people will be getting that, and then we'll be able to give them, you know, the executive VIP closing mechanisms, the voicemail, you know, the voiceovers, everything they need. We can compensate for all their weaknesses so that they don't have to come into a company and just sit there and be paralyzed. We can give them the financing. We can break every objection that somebody can come up with, possibly speaking. Well, I need marketing tools. Well, we got the video capture pages, the static capture pages. We've got the audios. We got the videos. We got the Silicon Valley multi-billionaire course sitting in the back for the mindset training. You know, we've got the financing company. Nobody can say they don't have money. They can do it. And people still cover the $147 anyhow, even with financing, without financing. It's very easily done, right? And, you know, and to have the one-up system where they can make that $147 back in their first 20 minutes in a business. If they borrowed it from their mom or their dad or a brother or sister, like, hey, I'll pay you back tonight. Can it be done? Well, we've seen one person, make over $2,000 like in less than 24 hours. Some people have made $300 in less than 20 minutes. So can that be done? Yeah. I mean, there's no excuse for that. So we can build this program out. No monthly fee. There's no excuse for that. The tools, everything here. Can't close the deal? No problem. There's no excuse for that. We will close them for you. We can put all these things into play. We're not talking about lead capture page leads. We're talking about generating a lead that comes through a funnel into a universal phone automated system and says like, yeah, hi, my name is Val Smith. I just went through your funnel. It was totally awesome. I'd like somebody to call me at 780 blah, 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 blah. And then instead of letting the person phone them back, we can do that. We have the skill sets and the people to be able to go in there and blow their minds. Never mind a telemarketing firm. You know what I mean? And that's the best lead, and there's copious amounts of way to do that. And, my good friend Gino, now your good friend Gino, he's got a system in there where in his business where he's got all this promotional stuff out there, and people are calling the distributors, like they've gone through all the details. They know the amount of money they're going to spend. They know the product already. Now it's just they want somebody to take the order. Well, guess what? We can do that same very kind of similar thing, except instead of letting, one of the kids, like I use the analogy of the group home, take charge and maybe blow it because they don't have the skill set to do it. Take somebody in there that knows the product, designed the product, understands the product, bam, 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 and it's done. It's a done deal. Where a telemarketing firm can't do that. They can to some degree, but their success rate won't be as persuasive, and they won't have the emotional connection, and they won't have any real connection to the company anyhow. They're not distributors or anything. But when you're dealing with executive role models that help create and design the concept, I mean, like, who do you want to work with? Do you want to work with a call center that's not connected, or do you want to work with executives that are connected to the situation and created the environment? That's the difference. That's the game changer. It's funny how people throw those two words out there on the internet so loosely. Game changer, game changer. Yeah. They don't really know what a game changer is. You know what I mean? They think they do, but they don't. It's amazing. That is what it is, So anything else you want to add? I'm doing pretty good here. I got my electrolytes going, and I got my Gatorade sugar.
Great. Yeah, well, it definitely fueled you up tonight for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Val, I'm just really excited about, you always talk about doing it for a loving, not doing it for a living. I think that's your catchphrase, and I have to be honest that it is definitely a labor of love for me. I'm totally in my environment, the creative part, the corporate part, everything. And that's where you and I really step in tune together, because it's the integrity really. I think deep down, bigger than anything, is really about the integrity base about what we're doing and doing it for the right reasons. And we haven't even got started really with all of the stuff that we're doing, and we've got a great foundation. We've got a great, beautiful site, all the stuff that's there. And I love what you and I do every day. We talk about where we're going, what we're doing. We look at the industry and people and make those connections. And it really is the network marketing industry is a drug, and it's a really good kind of drug, because it connects you to some really, really great people around the world. So and we're meeting new ones every day. You're introducing me to some really cool people, and reconnecting with people that we haven't maybe talked with several years. And that's what this industry does. And you got to love it. You just got to love it.
Yeah, we got to love it. And speaking about great people, we got to give a shout out to Jerry Gonzalez. I mean, Jerry's
absolutely.
Jerry
and I, he's my Friday night date. Friday night. Now, Jerry's a great guy. He's just, he's a heck of a lot of fun. He's extremely talented. And he's been very helpful in helping resolve some, putting some things together and brainstorming, and he's just a delight to be around and a delight to work with. So definitely.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, just to go back to what you're saying, I like where we're going. All we do with people, at least we can do it here in Mentoring Millionaires. I don't know so much about other programs, as we say, look, you want to make money, correct? Correct. Okay, well, we're in the business of making money. Now, what is it we need to do to compensate for your weakness? How can we help you? What is it you need from us so you can make money? Give us some ideas as to how we can help you make money here in Mentoring Millionaires. What is it you need from us? And then once they tell us what they need from us, then they're in the program.
We do it.
Because we just give it to them.
There
want
you
us
go.
to build you a website? Great, you do it. You want us to get you financing? We find a way to get it done for them. You know, whatever it is, you know, you need your leads closed? No problem. We can do that too. What do you need? Tell us what you need and we'll make it happen. We're the genie in the bottle. You want one time out of pocket? Great, you can have it. You want instantaneous cash flow? Oh, you mean you want the money right now? You want the money like right now? You don't want it to come to us as a company? Are you sure? Oh, okay. Well, we can do that for you too. You know, whatever you want, you get. You know, the good book says, "Ask and you shall receive." Right? So we're like the holy grail of marketing here. I love it. It's got so much potential to give everybody everything. All we do is sit back and listen. What is it you need from us? We are Aladdin's lamp. We're going to give you 3 wishes. Do you want those wishes to come true? Yes or no? And if we make those wishes come true, are you going to work with us? Yes or no? Right? There's a little requirement there. It's as simple as that. And you can't do that in other companies because they can't give instantaneous cash flow. They don't have financing. They don't have, you know, the comp plan to get them 100% commission. You know, they don't have all these nicks and crannies, and they don't have, even if they have call centers, they don't have what we have from a communicative closing mechanism that will blow out any call center. Call centers are great, and I love them. They're awesome. I think the world of call centers, but I always love one-upping call centers. It's great, and I think we're going to do that. So let's rock it out, Trace. I think we're done. It's the hour of power is over, and I'm going to go out there and get a little. Yep. Now I'm off to Dairy Queen. I'm going to go get a banana split.
Go get some more sugar.
Yeah, more sugar.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to stay up for a week. I'm excited. So yeah, no, it's been a great call. It's been a great night. I hope people got something out of it. But just know this: we're going to be. You tell us what it is you need from us, how much money it is you need to make. Are you willing to come on board and do it? We start filling in all the gaps. You tell us, give us a list of all the things you feel you would need in a business like this in order to make money. And watch what we do. It's going to blow your mind.
And signing off.
Trace.
Thanks, Phil. It's always been always a pleasure. Every time we do these get together talk, just hanging out. And thanks everybody for joining us tonight. And we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.